Look, I'm just saying, if we're going to rank the three of us, I'm definitely the closest to what one might call a tool of the three. Like, which is to say, I'm amazing, like the band Tool.
Except that
I've actually never listened to Tool.
No, they're really not. Here's the thing, I listened to a lot of dumb shit as a kid, especially progressive metal, but I count myself as fortunate that I just randomly happened to never be into Tool.
Yeah,
so I don't have to feel shame about it.
Like,
Go ahead. I had a boyfriend who was super into Tool, so...
Yeah, when I walk into a room and someone is there to greet me, I take a quick mental look at, like, some features about them to put them into a box with which to talk with them. And if they're wearing a Tool or a System of a Down t-shirt, I just do not have a good interaction.
Just write them off entirely.
There are some subtle distinctions between the two.
Yeah, but like there are different reasons why I mark them off entirely, but I'm just like, oh.
But either way,
I get it.
Welcome to a very special live episode of RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game, or a very little bit of a video game, and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Maddie Lorraine Webben.
I am Sam Allman.
And I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And today we're beating Final Fantasy X, and also
some of us are beating Final Fantasy X.
Today we are talking about the experience of beating Final Fantasy X, and we are also talking about the sort of epilogue movie thingy called Eternal Calm. And then we will do a Q&A as usual. So, before we move on to all that, how's everyone's week?
So, I didn't know we were doing Eternal Calm.
Oh. It's fine. It's really nothing.
I didn't watch it.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Great.
The main like thing about it is like a setup for Final Fantasy X2, so you might actually be better off and not wanting to dive in directly to X2 like me and Maddie.
And it's not like it's super emotionally intense or anything. It's just like it's nice.
Yeah. It's
okay.
What you would expect from something called the Eternal Calm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my week was great because I renewed. I got a Showtime trial. Why is my Kindle on? Whatever. I got a Showtime trial again on my Amazon Prime, and I binge watched Twin Peaks: The Return for the third time.
Hell yeah!
And it's so good.
It rules.
Oh my gosh! If you're a Twin Peaks fan, or if you're not a Twin Peaks fan, like start watching Twin Peaks. It's amazing.
It's so good. Really it's so good.
It's my mom's favorite show, and a couple years back, like I had told my mom, "Hey, I know you really like Twin Peaks, and I've kind of been interested in watching it," and so we started watching it together, and I just got fucking hooked.
Yeah.
And The Return is like the most amazing television probably ever made.
Yeah, it's just outrageously good.
It's so fucking good. And I have friends who are like, "Oh, I don't like it as much because there's no payoff," and it's like, well, there is. It's just like 16 hours into the series.
Yeah,
you just have to wait for it, and when you finally get that payoff, it's so good. Like
on one hand, I guess I get it. Everyone has a different taste. On the other hand, like, I don't know. If you don't like it, it's not that I'm upset with you. It's more that I just feel sorry for you. Like, it sucks if you can't appreciate it because it's incredible.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So I spent my week doing that, and I was grinding in Final Fantasy X, but apparently I wasn't doing it right. So I was not prepared for Jekt, and it went bad, and we'll talk about that. But
Jekt is a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game really expects them to be like, all right, where we dropping, lads? And you see a huge list to work through the whole list. And we were like, here's the answer. So we skipped out on like all of the required accidental side questing because we knew where to go. And therefore, we were all not ready. And then we did a lot of side quests to get ready.
The game's like, you have been playing for 120 hours, right? Because if you haven't, then... I'm sorry, but you don't deserve to beat this game.
I think that... Because when I was a kid, I definitely didn't understand how side quests work. I think that side quests really are more just for fun, because I think if you just jumped into the game, if you just grinded inside of Sin, and you just grinded until you could beat it, I think it'd probably be about the same amount of time.
Yeah, maybe.
As if you did any side quests. Because the side quests give you rewards if you do the right ones that allow you to grind faster, but they also take time to do the side quests. So,
True.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I did the side quests, but also, like, I probably could have just leveled up in that dungeon for 2 hours or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I tried to do, but apparently it was still not
Yeah,
enough.
it's hard. Like I did it like the traditional grinding way for like 2 or 3 hours the first time I did it, like a good chunk of regular grinding, and I get to phase 2 and he just wiped the floor with me, which I guess means we're starting since we're just talking about it.
So
the only thing I did with my week is the same thing Maddie did with hers, which was talk about Avengers Endgame, and it's good. Avengers Endgame is good. Everyone should watch Avengers Endgame.
What is Avengers in game?
Avengers Endgame.
Oh, Avengers Endgame.
You know that movie.
I thought you said Adventures in Game. Yeah, no, we're seeing it. We're seeing Avengers on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
it's real good. Like more than anything, it is the payoff for the 20 whatever years we've been interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's not easy to do. So everything they do that's not like perfect, I forgive, because there's so much that they do perfect, and it's great.
That's awesome.
I love Final Fantasy VII Adventures Children game. I think I mentioned last week that I was going through in a deep well of depression. I'm coming out of it.
Yay!
I'm better-ish. There's still some problems, but
it can take a while.
Yeah,
it's whatever. So I'm doing better. I'm doing okay.
Eli, Bernard says your audio is pretty low. Can you look in the?
Is it?
Yeah. Can you look in the little settings menu wherever it is on there and see if there's a way to bump it?
I bumped up my microphone recently.
Not your computer. Not your computer audio. It's going from your phone. Hangouts is through your phone.
Oh.
They are hearing your Hangouts. So yeah, I think the little headphones thing.
Okay, let me see. Sorry, one sec.
And there's a volume thing there. I don't know if that's your mic volume or not.
All right, my volume is all the way
then,
up.
Yeah, I think that's just all we got. So.
All right, that's funny because I can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get started. There's a weird amount happens actually.
Yeah.
So we're at the point of return. Mm-hmm. What happens? A huge fucking tower falls out of the sky. It has a bunch of emblems on it. Emblems of Yevon. If you've been noticing, each symbol, there's just a bunch of symbols that are associated with Yevon. They look sort of.
They're like Hebrew Chinese is the vibe I get.
Yeah, that's a good explanation of it. So you go inside the tower, and there's this weird minigame thingy. TVH kind of goes on way too long.
Way too long. And the punishment for failure is really steep, and it sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, what's the punishment for failure?
Like, if you hit the spike, they're like in-game boss level mobs. Like, they're not just random mobs.
Well, I was way overpowered, so I guess I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, they all have like 80,000 or higher health, and they all have gimmicks and our mini boss encounters.
I was using Steel with Riku and then fleeing on Titus. So.
So you can flee them, so that's nice. I got bored of them halfway through, so I just started fleeing them. Anyway, the benefit here is you get a lot of good items.
If you don't have them yet,
yeah. You get a bunch of good equipment. You also get some last-minute level ups, you know?
Mm-hmm.
One good thing is that just like any Final Fantasy game, MP is largely trivial.
Yeah.
By the end of any Final Fantasy game, you don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm gonna run out of MP.
Yeah.
So your healers just make sure you top off before the final battle, and it usually doesn't matter.
Which I think is crazy, because like when JRPG started, MP was the big limiter. Like, can I do this dungeon? Do I have enough MP to survive this dungeon? And then Final Fantasy started like, well, no, our story is most important in number 4, and so they're just like, you know what, just level 50, you get 99999 MP. That's fine.
Especially in this game, if you're me and like Yuna and Lulu both have 1 MP ability, where Ultima costs 1 MP, which is amazing. But even if that wasn't the case, like my healers, actually, do you notice 1 MP doesn't work out of battle?
I did not notice.
Really?
That's cool.
So you can't get those cheap heals, which is interesting. So, of course, I have, Riku healing people and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, you just kind of go around for a while. Then, suddenly, we have liftoff. Everyone floats up into the sky, and now you're in the hellish ruins of the Blitzball Stadium. Jekt is there. Finally, we're there. We're in person. Goku is looking at Jekt. We then have a very good scene where everyone just talks very somberly. Everyone's very serious here. There's not a lot of well, there is emotions, but it's not like heated emotions.
Yeah.
They're all just very sad. So Jekt's first line is, I think the exact wording here is very important, so I'm going to read a lot of the lines. It's not much, don't worry.
Yeah.
Jekt says, he doesn't talk to Goku. He says, "You're late, Aaron." And Aaron says, "I know." Then Jekt turns around and he sees his son, and he just goes, "Hey." And Goku says a line that is in the subtitles "hi," but it's more like "ah." It's a very weird.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't know what to say, so he's just like ah. He just like makes a sound. And then Jekt says, "You look tough, but you're all bones. Haven't you been eating right?" He just says like kind of typical dad stuff where he doesn't know how to be a good dad. Where he's just like, "You're so skinny." But then he's like, "However, you've really grown up. You've gotten big." And Tita says, "You're bigger." And Jekt says, or Tita says, "Well, you're still bigger." And Jekt says, "Well, I am thin, you know." And Tita goes, "That's not funny." And then Jekt is just like, "Well, let's end this."
Yeah.
Just like, "All right, let's fight." And then this part was cool because I was looking down at my computer taking notes and not 100% catching this part. Or no, maybe I got an important text. I don't know. And Goku goes, "Dad?" And Jekt says, "Yeah." And then he finally says what he's been wanting to say the entire game. And he says,
"I hate you."
He like chokes it out. Yeah, like the way you choke out something that's very, very difficult to say. And this made me like my heart skipped a beat. I like looked up from what I was doing and was like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
And then Jekt just is like, I know. Obviously.
It's that whole Leia and Han situation.
Yeah.
"I hate you."
I know.
He's like, and like he doesn't say I'm sorry for being a shitty dad. Like, what can he say? Like, nothing. You can't do anything. Oh, brief aside. Sorry. I said that I might fill you in on the Jekt spheres.
Yeah.
I decided I'm not really going to bother, but the gist of them is that Jekt really did become a way better person over the course of his journey.
That's fine.
That's good.
And if you assume that Goku has seen all the Jekt spheres, which I think it's probably canonical that he has seen them, it's like Tidus knows this. It's like he hates his dad, but he hates his dad from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he wants to tell his dad that he hates him, but the dad he sees in front of him now is not the same dad. And the dad he sees now is a pretty decent person, but he can't undo the past, and he can't have the childhood that he wanted to have. And Jekt knows all this, and probably feels just as bad about it. So it's it's complicated. He doesn't get the closure he wants at all.
Yeah.
As a brief aside, I will say one of the Jekt spheres. You know when we fought that Chupacabra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out one of the Jekt spheres is them on that road. And they run into the Chupacabra, and the Chupacabra is like causing havoc. And Jekt is like, "We gotta go stop it." And everyone's like, "We're on a pilgrimage." And he's like, "No, but it's the right thing to do." Which is precisely what Goku did.
That's cool.
Like, he literally imitated his dad precisely, right? Which is cool. And
Yeah,
so it's all kind of like that. Also, he really did change a lot. When he first started on the pilgrimage, Jekt was in jail.
Oh.
He had like gotten publicly drunk and thrown in jail.
I did see that one.
And then Braska was like, "I'm getting you out of jail because you're strong and you're going to be my guardian."
That's so good.
Cool. So anyway,
Aaron's like, "Are you sure you want this drunk guy?"
Yeah. So, there's not really anything more to say. Jekt is like, "Hey guys, once the battle starts, I'm going to be 100% engulfed by sin. I'm not going to be able to hold back. So, y'all got to do your best." Goku starts crying and he says, "That's enough." I think he just can't deal with the emotions anymore. He's just like, "We need to just stop talking and fight already." So then Jekt starts to fall backwards into like the void, and Goku, last minute panicky rushes at him to stop him. It doesn't work. and Jekt transforms into what the game refers to as Braska's final Aeon, aka BFA, aka Bofa, aka Bofa D's Pagodas. Yeah, it's the
really
final.
thought that one out.
I really did. Well, it's because I was looking at some. I don't know why I was looking at guides because I didn't need them. But whenever guides refer to the boss, they always call him BFA. Mm-hmm. So I just kept seeing BFA, BFA, BFA. So I was like,
Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah, I was gonna say BFA for me is Battle for Azeroth,
or that. So yeah, the final boss is a giant fire monster that looks like Jekt. He's tough as shit.
Yeah.
Unless you're me and your Arn is doing 65,000 damage per hit.
Or if you're like me and accidentally over leveled too much, because I was like, oh, this is really hard. I need another good 20 levels. Let me go and do a thing that'll make this 20 levels go by faster. But if you do the side quest where you get overdrive to AP, you then get 20 levels per fight, and you get into a lot of fights on your way back to back to Jekt. So I go in there and I'm like, all right, here's Bahamut, and Bahamut just goes and does his little droppy normal move, impulse or whatever, and it like killed the first one. And I'm like, oh
my fucking god, that's insane.
I did too much.
You cheated yourself and the game,
Yes.
Yeah.
et cetera, et
It helps
cetera.
that
As a kid, I beat
speed.
Yeah. As a kid, I beat this straight. I remember it taking many tries,
Yeah.
and me maybe doing some grinding, but also just throwing myself at it over and over and really thinking about the strategy and stuff. But yeah, this time around, it's not even because I wanted to level. It's more that I was enjoying doing the side quests and getting some of the special weapons. And it turns out that towards the end, once Arn reaches the end of his sphere grid, he can bounce over to Wakka's, and Wakka also has very high damage. So if you bounce over to Wakka's, like every other sphere is an attack up, and these are all attack up 4. So like just an hour of grinding makes Arn go from, like, if you've broken his damage cap, going from like 10,000 damage to 15,000 damage to 50,000 damage.
How do you
because
break
he's just
the
like
damage cap?
a few ways.
You can
It's an
put
ability that only certain weapons have.
Yeah. You can put it on your weapon, or you can get your Ultima weapon. They all have it.
Yeah, putting it on your weapon involves
Some bullshit.
I don't remember.
But it's some bullshit, I think.
I don't think I put it on any of my weapons. I think I just used my special. I think I only did it via the special weapons. I don't think I did any of them myself. Although
okay.
you can't. Oh, I think you have to grind for some item that is in the Omega Ruins, and Omega Ruins are hard as shit.
Yeah. There's... It's like Ultima weapon or something, and you steal from him a lot to get, like, one item, and you need, like, 10 per thing to put it. I think that's what it is.
I have
Great.
to fucking tell you, I accidentally ran into Ultima Weapon
Don't do
after
that.
an hour spent in the dungeon.
Don't do that.
Jeez.
Funny thing, I beat him.
Nice.
Of course
He's
you
not
did.
actually the ultimate weapon. There's a harder
Yeah.
boss later.
There's
but
Omega
I
weapon,
just
I think, is the harder one.
I just accidentally cutscened into him, and I was like, excuse me? Fuck? I didn't realize this was happening?
It's like what I did in Legend of Dragoon, jeez. Except I just kind of restarted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So anyway,
Yeah, the Jekt fight itself.
Jekt is hard as shit.
So,
he's got a lot of various gimmicks. He has these 2 pagodas called U pagodas, and they do things to him. You can kill them, but then they are dead for X amount of turns, and then they come back. He hits you. He like shoots meteors at you. He has multiple phases. He's hard, and the whole time that song from the beginning, the heavy metal, the death metal song is playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
The cheap way that everybody says to do it is along one of your travels, Orin gets a zombie strike weapon. If you're like me, you're like, fuck zombie, and you sell it immediately. Don't be like me. Hold on to it to the very end, use zombie strike on him, and then he doesn't have a damage cap. So when you go to Kiraga him, it wipes the floor with him. And so you just use mega elixirs and Kiragas and all that stuff on him, and he dies really easy. But
I tried
rules.
that. He never turned into a zombie.
did you have zombie touch or zombie strike?
Oh, I had
Zombie Strike is 100%.
Zombie Touch is a low RNG.
Yeah, Zombie Strike is
Okay.
100% RNG. So yeah, I had Zombie Touch. I couldn't get him to ever take, but it sucks. It sucks. It's hard. It's so hard because like I was struggling so hard to get him down, and I beat him, and I'm like, this is awesome. And then he has a phase 2, and he starts phase 2 by dealing 5,000 damage to my entire party, and I'm like, well, you can't not. So fuck me, I guess.
Yeah.
And it sucked, but.
Guess I'll die.
Guess I'll die.
Yeah. It's a motherfucker of a final boss.
Yeah.
The good news, it's the only one.
Yeah.
Like, it's not one of those games where you have a bunch of final bosses.
It looks like one of those games, but it's not.
Yeah. It's just like it's like even FF7 like had 3 distinct final bosses. This just has one boss with 2 phases.
Yeah.
And the first phase isn't super hard.
Yeah.
Compared to the second one. So you beat him. He goes down. And now we have the final scene with, as he falls to the ground, you see a little sparkly spirit thing. He escaped from it. You're like, what's that weird, dark, black and red spirity thing? Go find out in a second. So he's back to being Jecht. He falls into Goku's arms. Jecht points out that Tidus is crying again. Goku says he hates him. He says, save it for later. And that's interesting. Does he mean later when you're dead and we're both disappeared as ghosts? I think that is what he means, which is cute. Anyway, Goku says, right, we've got a job to do. And then they have a cool talk. Jecht says, that's right, good. I'm glad that you acknowledge that you have a job to do. You are my son after all. And then Tidus says, for the first time, he is glad to have Jecht as his father. He's still crying and he still hates his dad, but he's like, he's glad that Jecht is his dad. So then Jecht dies. Or not yet. The spirit thing is still flying around. Yuna starts to say something. I think she wants to send Jecht, and Jecht's like, there's not time for that. Jecht and the Ghost Kids show up and are kind of yelling, and they're saying that they need to kill all the Aeons. So then Jecht dies. Then we get to the actual most incredible scene in the entire game that I didn't understand until I was listening to the soundtrack and yelling about it to Bernard last week. I'll explain it in my memorable moments. This is actually a magnificently important scene. Anyway, as far as gameplay goes, it's just a can't lose boss battle. Yuna faces the party, and she's given a mini selection. Pick an Aeon. You have to pick each of your Aeons and then kill them. They go down very easy. Because this game...
And they're your exact Aeons, so like they only do like 3,000 damage, and you should be doing, if you got this far, damage cap, so it's one hit kill for every single one of them, pretty much.
Yeah, because most of the Aeons have around 10,000 HP, or maybe 15,000 HP, so 1 or 2 hits and they're all dead.
Final had 3,000 because I'm not insane like you, Maddie.
Wait, you're what?
Even with my crazy super level, all of my Aeons had about like 4,000 to 5,000 HP tops.
Oh, I didn't level up the Aeons. I guess I'm just misremembering how much health they have.
But their HP isn't based off of them; it's based off of Yuna. So your Yuna probably was just out the
Really?
wazoo.
I thought they were independent.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that makes
because
sense.
I've never touched.
Well, you can also buff their HP, but it's based on
her
Yuna's
magic
level.
attack.
I didn't realize that you could buff them and they scaled with Yuna. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I never
like
I still haven't gone to talk to Shalenda or whoever to get the to unlock that part of the game, so I still can't do it.
Right.
And they've been growing with me the whole time.
Okay, that's interesting. Quick shout out to Junya Nakano, the third composer of this game. This track is fantastic. It's just all the tracks in this game that are like movie score, just like dramatic. Those are the ones that are Junya Nakano.
Nice.
The ones that sound like Uematsu are Uematsu. The ones that are really chill, textural electronic music, those are Hamauzu, and the ones that are dramatic movie score songs that aren't super melodic, those are Junya Nakano. This song rules. Yeah. So the reason you're killing all the Aeons is because you can see the spirit of Yu Yevon going into each Aeon.
Yeah.
So she summons one, Yu Yevon goes into it, turns it into evil, but doesn't improve its stats, thankfully. And then you kill it, and then it leaves, and it flies into the next one.
One thing I saw on GameFAQs while I was just looking up like grinding strategies and stuff is somebody was like, "Why does everyone say that the dark Aeons are hard? Like I did them and I couldn't even lose. Like you get auto life. Why does everyone say that they're so hard? Because yes, these are dark versions of your Aeons, but they are not the dark Aeons.
Dark Aeons are a different thing. If they made you fight those here, that would be bad.
That would not be a good move for them to have made.
No, it would not. Especially because they didn't even still the International Edition anyway.
Right.
So finally, after all the Aeons are dead, all like 6 of them or 9 of them if you're me, all that's left, it's like it can't go anywhere else. So all that's left is Yu Yevon. There's a little cutscene. Goku finally drops the bomb. He goes, "Hey everyone, this is the last time we're gonna fight together." And Wakka's like, "What?" Goku says, "After you beat Yu Yevon, I'll disappear." He and Yuna look directly at each other for a bit. There's some cross-cutting. And, you can tell that they want to say something to each other, but instead he just walks past her and draws his sword. He says, "I know it's selfish, but this is my story." And then we hear some motherfucking Masashi Hamauzu. The final boss music is fantastic. One of my favorites in the series. It's all intricate and plinky. It's not like super dramatic. It's like fast and weird. It's also, hold on. It's in 9.8, but then it's in 13.8. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yu Yevon is a weird little bug thing. You're invincible. You literally have auto life. You have a halo over your head. You cannot die. However, despite being invincible, he hits really hard.
Yeah. I wonder if
like,
they were planning on this being an actual final boss and not a Nick's Egg final boss, and then they were like, we can't make them do BFA and then this one, so let's give them auto life and make it easier.
Maybe.
Because it's kind of like designed for a Nyx fight type thing.
I feel like it makes thematic sense that you can't die here. I think they just like wanted to show that he is still really strong.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? But you're invincible.
Yeah.
So he can't kill you. He is technically a zombie, so any cure spells will hit him. Also, if you use Holy, it'll annihilate the bejesus out of him.
Well, it's a good thing I unlocked Holy on Yuna.
Yeah.
Only to not use it yet.
Yeah, no, Holy is fantastic. Holy is better than using double cast Ultima.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean,
like, literally,
both of them,
doesn't matter
both
what.
of them will probably do damage cap, but if you have damage cap broken, Holy does the
Yeah,
shit
if you
out
break
of
the
it.
damage cap, my Yuno is using Ultima. Of course, Ultima hits all, so that makes it better. But like, if there's only one enemy, Ultima would hit twice for about 15,000 each, so that's about 30,000 total. Holy would hit for like 45,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible move. Which is why it's funny, because I thought I was so smart for cross-classing Yuna, but actually I didn't need her black magic at all. I didn't even need double cast. And you can't double cast Holy, because you can only double cast black magic. So I'm like, oh, I just wasted all that time double classing her, but really Holy is better than anything else.
Yeah.
Anyway, you beat him, and he hells of explodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's it. Now we are on to the game's ending.
Yeah. When he exploded, he took the concept of summoning away with him, which is nuts.
Yeah, you have completely destroyed. It reminds me a lot of FF6, actually, because at the end of FF6, magic no longer exists in the world.
Mm. You mean
and in this game,
magic?
Yes, and in this, so you're irrevocably changing the lore of the world. Yeah, summoned monsters aren't a thing, which is why they had to change the battle system for the next game.
Yeah.
So, first you get a little shot of people in Besaid seeing a big explosion in the sky. Gata and all the other, what do you call them? Crusaders. They all do the sign of the Crusaders in respect because they can see that their friends won. Then we look inside the temple of Besaid. There's this long scene where the Hymn of the Faith is being sung all around the world by all the Faith statues. And all of the Faith turn to dead gray stone, one by one. So you can see all of these Faith they're all dying. The temples are dying. The center of the religion is just evaporating. And then we cut back inside Sin. Yuna is doing a ton of dancing. She's sending Yu Yevon. She's trying to send all of the Aeons. And then she realizes she's also sending Auron. Remember, Aron literally has only told Tidus that he's undead. Mm-hmm. No one else knows. I guess because they can't pick up on very obvious clues.
They're not very quick on the uptake.
No.
That's all right.
She stops, but Aron says, "No, keep going. It's been long enough."
Please, dear God, send me.
His insanely fucking cool theme song plays, and he does a really cool pose, and he says, "This is your world now," which is really cool. No longer a world ruled by the living, but or ruled by the dead, but a world ruled by the living, a world that is capable of change. And he means himself too. Like, I'm also a dead person. Like, me and all the other dead people no longer rule the world. So then there's the FMV ending, which is long and has phenomenal music by Uematsu this time. So props to Uematsu. Although it's arranged by Shiro Yamaguchi, who's the guy who always does the arrange. Like, you know the beautiful FF8 arranged orchestral album?
Yeah.
That's Yamaguchi. He's great. He's always the person who arranges Uematsu for orchestra. Anyway, Sin disintersplodes.
And
which is to say
what's hilarious is I was like live DMing Maddie while I was finishing the game, and I get here and my Final Fantasy X on the PC with NVIDIA cards has a glitch where every now and then it can't load the FMV, so it just loads a green screen. And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow, this is so great. Okay, the FMV's starting. Shit, it's a green screen. So I just like skipped it and like started the credits and just minimized FF10 to go to YouTube and launch it. I was so mad. It was like,
at least the ending is all one long FMV. Like, imagine if it was like a combination of FMVs and in-game stuff, and then it was like cutting in and out. Like, at least you just knew, like, okay, I need to just watch the whole thing again on YouTube instead of being like halfway spoiled. So Yuna is on the surface of the airship. She's dancing. She's still sending all the Aeons are floating nearby, and she's sending them one after the other. Eventually, she even sends Sin himself, and Sin disintegrates into a zillion like fireworks and spirits. Back at the cave near Xanderkin.
Yeah, the FMV for sending Sin is so cool. Like, because it's just cool this big ass space whale, and then all the little fireflies. It's so good.
Yeah.
Back at the cave near Xanderkind, all of the multitudinous faiths disintegrate, and their dream dies with it. It gets really homestuck because they're literally dream bubbles. There's all of these bubbles, and the bubbles are all the people who live in Dream Xanderkind, and one of the bubbles, sure enough, has Tidus in it. So then we cut back to Tidus. He looks at his hands, he's transparent. Yuna looks at him like, oh shit. He says, Yuna, I have to go. I'm sorry I couldn't show you Xanderkind. Yuna really cannot accept this and is really upset. He says goodbye, and he walks to the bow of the ship. Yuna runs after him and tries to hug him, but she phases through him and falls to the floor. Then a bunch of fireflies start to phase through the deck of the ship, and they float through Goku's body, through Yuna's body, up into space. Yuna gets to her feet. So he's at the very front of the ship, facing off the edge of the ship. She's behind him, facing the opposite direction, back towards the party. That's just how she's already standing. That's how she fell. She stands up, she's looking away from him, and she says, I love you. And then Tidus turns. She's faced away from him, but he turns towards her. And he has a lot of emotions on his face. He doesn't know what to do. Like, what can you do here? So he approaches her from behind. And, oh, sorry, I got it backwards, actually. She's the one facing away from the ship, and he's the one who's closer. So anyway, he turns around, walks up to her. He approaches her from behind, and he puts his arms around her. He, like, clips through her, so, like, you can tell she can't actually feel him. He's insubstantial. But he puts his arm around her, and they kind of hug. And they share a bit of a moment, and the music gets really loud, and then he phases through her body, doesn't turn to look back, jumps off the ship. And then my favorite moment, one of my favorite moments in the entire game, I'm already wrecked at this point. I'm extremely emotional. This is kicking my ass.
Oh yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
It's annihilating my ass. But then it's even fucking better. He jumps off the ship into the clouds, and he sees Aron and Jecht and Braska waiting for him. And Jecht turns and puts his hand out, and Goku just fucking slaps his hand like you do in sports.
It's so good.
Like the way he slaps, like literally the same way he slaps his partner's hand in the opening FMV cutscene after they score a goal.
Yeah.
He's like, bam, nailed it.
It's good.
And that's the end, and it cuts to black. And that's the part that even more annihilated my ass.
Yeah.
So we fade back up. Time has clearly passed. Yuna's eyes are desperate. She doesn't look happy. She's on the dock in Luca, and she's whistling like Goku taught her to do.
Mm-hmm.
Probably hoping if she keeps whistling, maybe he'll return. You know,
Yeah.
Kind of like
he promised he would, and it's just ripping my heart out.
Kind of like Aquaman's dad in Aquaman. Did either of y'all see Aquaman?
I have not seen Aquaman.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's so good, y'all. It's better than Endgame. She's on the dock in Luca, whistling. Lulu approaches behind her and says, "It's time." She then stands in the stadium in Luca. It turns out she's giving a speech. I guess maybe a few weeks have passed or something, and everyone wants to hear from the hero who defeated Sin. So the stadium is packed with all these people from various cities and cultures. And she gives a speech. It's not a very long speech, so I'm going to read the whole thing. She says, "Everyone here has lost something precious. Everyone here has lost homes, dreams, and friends. Everybody, now Sin is finally dead. Spira is now ours again. Working together, now we can make new homes for ourselves and new dreams. Although I know the journey will be hard, we have lots of time. Together we will rebuild Spira. The road is ahead of us, so let's start out today." She turns, everyone's clapping and clapping and clapping. Less clapping than you'd expect.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, Sin is dead. The monster that's been killing us for 1,000 years is dead," and it's just like regular amount of clapping.
Yay!
You'd think everybody would hoot and holler for like 10 straight minutes,
Right?
But whatever. It's like clapping when like it's like the amount that you clap when you're like announcing the next speaker at the convention. Anyway, she turns around, her speech is finished, but then she turns back and she gets the crowd to be quiet. And she says, "One more thing. The people and the friends that we've lost," and then she gets all quiet and is clearly thinking about Tidus, and she says, "Or the dreams that have faded, never forget them." Cut to black, credits, a beautiful, although in my opinion less good version of Steki Dane plays, and you have a lot of emotions. And I text Sam a whole lot. At the end, though, end credit scene, because at the end credit scene, Nick Fury shows up and asks Tidus if he wants to join the Avengers. No, there's at the end we see Tidus. He's like floating in water, and then he swims towards the camera / towards the surface, and fade to white. So that's the ending.
Yay!
Yeah. In my opinion, I feel like we should do memorable moments now and then do Eternal Calm.
That works for me.
So, yeah, memorable moments. I only have one. I need to yell about the Aeon fight for a couple minutes.
Okay. Go for it.
Oh, no, y'all go first.
Oh, mine was just the "I hate you" from Tidus. Like, it shook me. It was good.
God damn it!
Is that yours?
Yes, you stole mine
I
again.
mean, technically, we talked about it in the thing, so it was also stolen from me.
But yeah. No, I totally agree. I think that Tidus getting a chance to tell Jecht that he hated him was great. And I really liked how emotional Tidus was about the whole thing. Like, it really affected him. It really, like, tore him up that this was happening. Like, even though he had such a shitty father, like, it was clear to him that he wasn't the same guy, that he had changed, and he was a better person than he used to be. And now Tidus was already having to say goodbye to him. He couldn't get to know him as the new Jecht.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the writing is so fucking good. Like, he doesn't get the closure he wants. It's like he kind of gets a little bit of closure, but not what he really wants. Yeah. And he just kind of has to sit with it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
For sure.
Yeah. Both of the Jecht Tidus scenes are by far some of my favorite writing that I've seen in some games, and it really resolves that storyline really well.
Yeah, it's good. But go ahead, talk about some Aeons.
Okay, so here's the thing. So Tidus gets his big closing moment, which is amazing. Yes, it's great. But Yuna does too. Yuna's character really becomes clear to me here, because she's not happy through most of this. When Goku dies, she's very unhappy. At the end, when she's whistling, she's very unhappy. As we'll see in Eternal Calm, she's not happy. And the reason is this. Okay, so I'm just going to read, because I was yelling to Bernard about it last week. So I'm just going to read what I said to Bernard, because I think I explained it pretty well. I was also explaining it pretty quickly, because Bernard hasn't, played the game recently. Mm-hmm. So here's what I said. I was listening to the music, and I realized music was just so dramatic and so cacophonous, and it put me in the mindset of the characters and what's really happening. One important thing to notice is that whenever Yuna summons the monsters, she's, crying. Mm-hmm. These are her beloved, almost like her pets. Mm-hmm. And she has respect for them, and she's killing them. But there's something more to it than that. So here's what's happening. Yuna, well, y'all haven't played this game, but it's for those of you who might have played the game who are listening to this, it reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 3. This is not a spoiler. This is the main premise of Metal Gear Solid 3. At the end of Metal Gear Solid 3, you have to kill the person you love the most in the world. They're the final boss. That's clear at the beginning of the game, and there's not a twist, and at the end of the game, that's what has to happen. You have to kill this person. And the game makes you do it. The game stops being a cutscene and makes you press the button to shoot the person. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening here, but it's a lot longer. It's actually a relatively lengthy scene. So she's clearly grieving each death. Anyway, what I got out of this is Yuna is a summoner. She lived her entire life by this religion. Mm-hmm. This is her entire life and her worldview and the world that she lives in. So she's dismantling her entire worldview, and she's dismantling her place in the world. She is a summoner, and she's destroying the entire system of summoners. She is a follower of Yevon, and she's destroying Yevon. She's already pledged her whole life to defeat Sin. Now she's about to defeat Sin. Mm-hmm. So she's killing her identity. She's killing the thing that has been the entire point of her life up until this moment. I think that the music really highlights the intensity of her emotions at this point. I said it's also a recapitulation of FF6, where magic goes away at the end, and that has a lot of effects on Terra, right, who has strong feelings about this. Mm-hmm. So Yuna is taking it upon herself to dismantle the system. And not only that, but she and her father and all summoners are complicit in perpetuating this cycle. Because every summoner, right before they get the final Aeon, have the situation explained to them by Yunalesca. So every summoner before her has decided to continue the cycle instead of deciding to rebel against it. And so her father and all of the people that she looks up to, and even herself from the past Yuna, are complicit in this awful, inhumane society. And she's destroying it because it's bad. But yeah, that's the thing. This scene is her piece by piece dismantling her entire identity, which is why at the end she doesn't have an identity and doesn't know who she is, doesn't know what she wants, and then she doesn't get the only thing that she does want, which is Goku. So I'm hoping FF10-2 is probably about her building a new sense of identity for herself, but at the end of the game she doesn't really have anything. Yeah. So she sacrifices more than anybody else does, because she creates a new world but does not have a place in the new world that she created. Mm-hmm. So, that's why I think that scene is amazing, and I think Yuna is an amazing character.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Alright, so let's jump through and speed through Eternal Calm. It's not long, but we have a shitload of Q&A, and I want to get to as much of it as possible.
Yeah. So Eternal Calm starts with Yuna doing her longest yeah boy ever. She's training diving, and she's holding her breath underwater, and she finds out that she can now hold her breath for 2 minutes and 42 seconds, which is damn.
Right. But
that's way more than I can do.
But also compared to doing a whole dungeon, not as cool.
Yeah. Waka shows up, and he's like, "Wow, you're doing pretty good. I haven't done underwater in ages." And then she jokes about how he's getting kind of chubby, and he's not even the one having the baby, which is really cute. Yeah. he and Lulu, Waka and Lulu, they're a thing. Lulu's having a baby. It's great.
Yay!
Spoiler alert, in Tin 2, we see Lulu, and she's very pregnant, and they didn't give her a different character model.
That's amazing.
It's really weird.
I'm glad.
I also... Oh, no, I was going to say, I also really like her short lesbian haircut, even though she's with a dude. Like
That's not Lulu.
That's not Lulu?
No, that's a different character that they made up.
What?
Yeah.
Ow.
It's
I thought
weird.
it was Lulu.
No.
Now
Yeah.
I'm sad.
No, it's
weird.
The
It's like
same vibe as Lulu, but it's a different person.
I don't know why they invented a different goth GF for that game, but they did. Anyway,
no, Pain is just Squall from Final Fantasy VIII.
Yep.
Okay.
He's Squall the same way that Lightning is Cloud.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's been 2 years since the end of the game. She's in the temple. I guess people are still religious in some way. A dude has come to make a request of her. He says, "My son has joined the youth league, but I feel weird about it because me and my wife, his grandparents, are members of New Yevon." So basically, you're learning that New Yevon is some new religion that has taken the place of Breakager Yevon, and the youth league must be some other group that maybe rejects the teachings of Yevon.
I thought it was Blitzball the whole time. It was like, we're a religious family, and he wants to go and waste his life playing sports.
No, I mean maybe, but I don't think that's the case.
I mean, the scene works if
like
you
the
read
young
it that
generation.
way either. But
he feels like the young generation is moving too quickly. They kind of have a nice little talk here about like basically conservative grandparents not understanding their liberal children. I was right. The story is about the transition from integralism to liberalism. It is about the Enlightenment and the end of the Catholic age. Everybody wants to build a good future, but people have different ideas on how to do it, is what we find out. So there's a lot of different groups in Sphere now who all have their own ideas of what to do with the world.
Yeah, and we find out here in a second, but it's a little early, but like, there are so many splinter groups, and every single one of them has been like, look, get somebody hot to join our splinter group so that they can seduce Yuna, so that we can be the famous one, because we'll have Yuna on our side.
Yeah. Yeah. Yuna's the famous hero who saved the world, so every group wants Yuna to join their group, right? So yeah, apparently the old people of the town are trying to set Yuna up with someone. It's the son of the chairman of New Yevon, and she's like, no, they would just use me. Then, the audacity of this bitch. A kid from the Youth League has a message from a guy named Navon Nuge. It's the same thing. He's like, join the Youth League. And she's like, no. He then says, maybe you should start a group of your own, which is foreshadowing, because she starts a very different kind of group.
She's like a pop idol group.
That's kind of like a religion.
Riku shows up.
I mean, I've seen how much my wife is into Blackpink and BTS. It's definitely kind of like a religion.
It's a religion. It is a religion. Riku, I really like what they did here with Riku. She's been traveling all over Spira, salvaging Machina like she used to, but also educating people about Machina. So she's like a lobbyist for Machina.
For big Machina.
And integrating it into the world. Also, as an aside, this like movie is made using in-game graphics, but it's got a lot of extra little details. There's lots of birds and dolphins and wind effects and plants and trees and stuff. It looks really good. Anyway, Kamari has become a leader to the orphaned Ronso on Gagazet.
I thought they were all killed off, though.
If you actually walk back to Gagazet after that scene, it turns out just a shit ton of them were killed off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Not all of them, just a lot.
Yeah. Riku, turns out, though, on Gagazet, Riku found a mysterious sphere. They watch it, and I already knew it was in this sphere in general. I knew we were going to see Tidus, but I wasn't expecting what I saw.
Yeah, me neither.
It's very dark and scary, and Tidus looks a lot different. He's wearing a different outfit, a way less stupid outfit, and he's, like, in a cage.
Yeah.
And he's yelling at somebody, we don't know who, saying, like, you gotta let me out of here. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just trying to save the summoner. I was just like, I'm being framed. And then he also talks to the sphere, and he's saying like something like, you gotta come get me, something like that. And obviously Yuna is like, yo, what the fuck? Right? They're all very, 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 very shocked by this. Yuna wants to go. She wants to go on an adventure. Waka, conservative as always, is like, shouldn't we get more information first? And Riku's like, who's going to get the information? And the Youth League kid is like, the Youth League will do it. And Waka's like, fuck off. He basically says fuck off. Then there's a funny scene where Waka and Riku argue about Yuna for like 2 straight minutes while Yuna is standing right there. Riku explains something really cool. She says, everybody, ever since the Eternal Calm started, everyone's been out there making their dreams happen, but Yuna hasn't. Yuna doesn't want to let people down. Yuna has a strong sense of duty. She hasn't been following her dreams or making herself happy. She's the only one who doesn't get to do that. Then Yuna talks, and she says, I'm reading between the lines here. I think it's not just that she wants to see Goku. I think it's like, she wants to go on an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she really enjoyed going on a pilgrimage with her friends and going on an adventure and fighting monsters.
Yeah, like, she kind of had, like, adventure blue balls, because she was like, my goal is to go and defeat Sin. And then she gets up at the end, and then, like, that's not what she gets to do. And so she's just like, okay, well, my adventure was supposed to be over, but now it's not.
Yeah.
I don't have an adventure, so it's just like...
Yeah, I think part of it is wanting to see Tidus again, but I think part of it's just wanderlust, wanting to do something with her life. But she also doesn't want to disappoint all the people who are counting on her.
Yeah.
Right? But then she remembers Tidus's line from at one point in the game where he says, this is paraphrased, but he's like, what's the point of being responsible, of being grown up, of being mature, of being reasonable, if you don't get to change anything about the world? Which I think is amazing, and I think I might have mentioned this last time, or if I didn't, I at least thought it. It reminds me of all the old people who think that young people trying to change the world is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then Yuna repeats one of Goku's final lines. She says, you know what? I know it's selfish, but this is my story. And then she says, you know, what I have is good. I have my friends, I have my community, I have this world that is peaceful, but it's okay to want more, isn't it? And that hit me a lot.
Yeah.
The whole idea of, like, being a good person's important, but sometimes you gotta also think about your own happiness.
Yeah.
Which is something I've had to learn in the last year or so.
Yeah.
So that's the end of it. She goes, I've got to do something for myself. And I'm going to play Final Fantasy X too. It sounds like it's probably a really good game.
Me too.
And and that's it. So yeah, so not a whole lot happens. Just nice little world building, and Yuna's going off on an adventure. Oh, also Riku is like, hey, by the way, if you're going to be traveling the world, you got to be incognito, so I've got a new outfit for you.
Yeah.
We don't see the outfit, but Riku says, I've got a new outfit for you. And I can just imagine when Yuna sees it, she's like, yeah, that's not my style. I'm a goody good girl. I don't wear things like that.
Right.
But, whatever. So.
All right.
So that's the game. Do we want to have any more talking about the game, or do you want to launch into Q&A?
Q&A.
Yeah, I'd say Q&A time.
I
don't really have much more to say.
Yeah, just a real quick, like, 1-sentence review of the game from each of us. I loved it. It's the most Final Fantasy game I've played in forever. Eli, what about you? This was a trick, because I know you said it doesn't feel like Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
and you can say more than one sentence.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. It because I'm so used to the first 6 Final Fantasies, you know, and Tactics Advance.
What specifically doesn't feel like Final Fantasy to you?
I mean, the main thing is the level up system.
Yeah.
I hate the sphere grid. To this day, I hate the sphere grid. I don't like I love having options, but that's too many options. And yes, it's a linear path, but there's so much that you can do with it, and it just makes my brain hurt.
It's big.
That
it's
that
big,
is the least Final Fantasy part about it, but like that's its weird thing. So, but like taking that aside, what else didn't feel like Final Fantasy for you?
It didn't feel like a fantasy game. It felt like, I don't know. I couldn't really say for certain.
Okay.
And I apologize if I'm getting defensive, because
we want to hear
I don't know how to answer the question, honestly.
Okay.
It just,
It's totally valid.
It didn't feel like a Final Fantasy. Maybe because it's in 3D and all the Final Fantasies I've played are 2D pixel art.
And you didn't get any of the transitionary ones with the pre-rendereds or anything.
Right.
And I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Final Fantasy VI. It is always going to be my favorite of the Final Fantasy games, And I mean, I play Final Fantasy XIV, and that feels like a Final Fantasy game, and maybe it's... I don't know, because Final Fantasy XIV is more of a fantasy setting than Final Fantasy X felt like.
Yeah, and
is FF14 set in Ivalice?
No.
Ivalice is in 14 as far as raids go, but no, the 14 setting is called Eorzea.
Okay. But it has all the Ivalice races, right? Like the Viera and shit?
The Viera
and
are
the
coming
bunnies?
out. Viera are coming out in Final Fantasy... Shadowbringers, which is the new expansion, and they're putting them as female only, which has me real salty.
Right, which is a big thing. Yeah,
and they're adding Ronsos to the game, and they're going to be male only, and fucking Japan and its fucking gender stereotypes. And
also, there are female Ronso. I just saw them.
Yeah. I think I mentioned that when I was recording one of my videos. I'm like, "There's a female Ronso. I seen it. It's right there."
Maybe. What's his ass? Seymour killed all the female Ronsos.
Yeah.
And all that's left is the male ones. And this tie-in plot takes place after FF10.
I don't know. They've only recently in the most recent expansion they added Final Fantasy VI stuff because they added Doma, which is essentially, as far as Eorzea is concerned, Japan.
Gotcha.
And Doma Castle is one of the dungeons that you do, and they have Cayenne's theme and everything, and that's super cool. And they have it's a mishmash of all the different Final Fantasies.
Right.
And that's really what it is. It's like Final Fantasy fan service the game.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it feels more like Final Fantasy, because I get the fan service from the previous Final Fantasies that I've played.
Yeah.
Brief.
So I was just going to add one thing. So I think more of it revolves around the 3D at first, because Final Fantasy VI is actually more technologically advanced than Spirit is. Like, everyone there has robots and cars and a castle that burrows underground and all of these other high tech stuff.
Yeah.
And so this one is just like, oh, I can see the high tech as a thing, and that doesn't feel like it more than just like, oh, this is a sprite of a Magitech armor or something. So it's probably revolved in all of that. And also this is Asian fantasy and is not medieval fantasy, which is what the other Final Fantasies are. So.
Yeah.
But,
I think that actually the 3D vibe might be a lot of it. I never shared this, but this game reminds me a shit ton of Sonic Adventure in a lot of weird ways. A, the tropical setting. B, the very ambitiousness of it. The fact that it's a jump to full 3D, and where FF7, 8, 9 were not actually 3D, the same way that Sonic 3D Blast is not actually 3D. A lot of the weird camera stuff and voice acting reminds me of Sonic Adventure. I had a longer list of reasons why it reminds Sonic Adventure, but I can't remember the rest of it. A lot of the chill vibes, even some of the themes. I don't know. The fact that it has a different composer. But I don't think it's just 3D. I think it's the 3D, the way that the camera moves, the linearness of the game. Not just linearness of it, but just the way you go about the game. The format that the game takes is staggeringly different from any previous RPG, and it is a stylistic thing. Because if you ever play Lost Odyssey, you'll see oh, this is the same shit. Lost Odyssey doesn't look like Final Fantasy. It doesn't have the Final Fantasy name or branding. The battle system's similar, but the main thing is the way that you interact through the world. The fixed camera angles, the swoopy 3D environments with the fixed camera, and the linear movement, and the sort of methodical pacing. I guess that's what Sakaguchi decided he wanted to do, I guess, with his... Sakaguchi saw 3D technology, and he's like, this is the kind of game that I feel like is the kind of game I like to make. But it is a huge change, honestly, even from FF9.
But yeah. So let's actually
my
start.
one-sentence review is that it's the best Final Fantasy game. That's my one-sentence review.
But so Eli, if you were looking for more Final Fantasies, having played all of the ones that are like yours, I think you will like 9 of the PlayStation ones the best, especially because it's in HD on your PS4. It's really good too. It has a different sort of level up style, but you still at least have levels, so it won't
like
be completely
FF8,
different.
actually.
Yeah, it's like Tactics Advance. Actually, Tactics Advance stole it from Final Fantasy IX.
I love Tactics Advance. I played the shit out of that as a kid.
Yeah, so 9 I think you'll really enjoy, and then if you haven't been told already, both Bravely Default games are sequels to Final Fantasy V thematically. So
really,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
See, I've played part of the first Bravely Default.
Yeah, so Bravely Default feels like somebody really loved Final Fantasy V, but understood that Final Fantasy Tactics had the better job system, and so did those together and then made a new game. But anywho, let's do some questions. We have a lot. I will start off with the hardest question on the list. Fuck, marry, kill John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, and Oscar Isaac.
Oh god, I asked that. Why did I ask that?
Yeah, why did you ask that? I'm gonna go with my answer in Discord, which is I just want to FM all of them.
Right?
I don't want to kill any of them.
Yeah.
So I can't make that decision.
It would have to be us inside of Sin, and Unalesca would be like the only way to save the world is for one of these people to die, and they would have to be into it, and we wouldn't have been good enough to find out that Tidus's dad is Jacked and all that stuff. I would think that Oscar Isaac would be the one to volunteer himself to die. Therefore,
I was gonna go with Oscar Isaac for that as well.
Yeah.
Like if someone was gonna be my final Aeon, I was like, all right, Oscar Isaac. I think would be the way to go.
Otherwise, I'm mostly straight, so I would marry Daisy and fuck John.
You're not too straight to fuck John Boyega. Yeah. I appreciate that.
What about you, Maddie?
So I had a discussion with my friend a while back where I said what mine was, and I can't seem to find it. Which sucks, because I guess that means I have to think about it again instead of just saying what I said when I thought about it last time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look for one more second, actually.
We don't have one more second.
You're right.
Now.
You have a hard cutoff time. Come on,
let's
hard.
Go. Okay. Marry Oscar Isaac, kill John Boyega, and fuck Daisy. I don't even care that much about fucking Daisy. That's just the third one that there is, honestly.
Okay, so
I couldn't kill her.
Okay, so then the next question comes from Essie. And she says, do you have a favorite video game trope?
Trains.
Didn't we answer this one before?
No.
We answered something similar to this before, I feel like.
We may have, but...
Because I remember talking about liking games that are self-aware.
Yeah, and I remember talking about how much I hate Maliks, but love when there's a Malik. It's like, I hate the first 40 hours where I'm like, ugh, I get it, you don't want to do anything. And then that last hour where he's like, I've never drawn the sword before, I refuse to draw the sword. And the final boss is like, it's the final boss. And he's like, well, time to draw the sword. I'm like, every time.
I didn't see that coming.
Okay.
I had no idea that this would happen.
So then, let's do a short one from Mr. Trantastic. He asked 3 really long ones, and so we'll do his short one. The top 3 Final Fantasy characters of all time.
Lord. Do they have to be ranked? I'm going to say no.
No ranked.
Okay.
We don't have time to get into the 5 points of anything.
Yuna?
Yuna's way up there for me, yeah.
Noctis. And, I don't know. I'll come up with one more. Y'all go.
Okay, so...
Terra, Yuna, and Celis.
That's good.
I'm sorry, not Yuna. Lulu. Terra, Lulu, and Celis.
Nice. I'm good. Okay, so I would definitely say Yuna. And then, like, after making my way through Let's Mosey by Tim Rogers, I would say Red 13 is way up there. Like, he used to be cool for edgy reasons. I really like him for he's 3 children stacked on top of each other under a trench coat, and he's pretending to be huge, but that doesn't come across in the English whatsoever. Tied for one of the 3 spots, but not my 3rd spot, would be Aerith for similar reasons. I didn't like her playing through 7, but that's the fault of the localization. Like, they completely cut out her bit, which is like teasing Cloud the whole time, and so you just kind of get a flower girl and not this really cute, awesome person that like understands her whole destiny and everything that was in the Japanese. But here's a quick plug. Everyone should go and watch Let's Mosey by Tim Rogers on the Kotaku.com
it's
playlist.
outrageously good.
Yeah. But so then my last one would maybe be Delita. He's really, really good. And then if we're being broad with our definition of Final Fantasy, I would say Edea from Bravely Default is just one of my favorite JRPG characters of all time. It's like 100% tied to her voice acting. Like, the game does not deserve her voice actor to come at it as hard as she does, but like she does, and it makes it brilliant. And then she has a pirate outfit, so she's way up there. But if
if you're cheating, then I'm cheating. Luca
is a good cheat
from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. I also, like, everyone always is like, oh, Chrono Trigger is the best Final Fantasy, and like, I laugh at it, but the only thing it keeps from Final Fantasy is the active time battle. Literally none of the Final Fantasy, like, the only things we have taking Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 15 and comparing the two is the world sense and the items and the magic, and Chrono Trigger doesn't have
it's just a dumb
those.
contrarian thing. If you think that if you legitimately consider Chrono Trigger a Final Fantasy game, then you clearly have never played a Dragon Quest game.
Yeah.
the joke is that Chrono Trigger is literally more a Dragon Quest game than it is a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, it's great. But so my 3rd spot, because I did a lot of people tying for 2nd. Let's see. I really, really, really like Squall and Renoa's story, so I'm going to count them. I'm going to call Squall Noah their celebrity couple name. That's
they have enough combined personality to be one character.
Yeah, like, I love their story more than their personalities. Like,
no, they're good. I'm just joshing.
Actually, no. Fuck all of it. My top 3 is Interceptor, Interceptor, Interceptor. The dog from Final Fantasy VI.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, so then a hard one from Eli is what are your top 10 video game songs?
Okay, so I'm going to go through mine.
I should have been planning this ahead of time. Jesus.
Because as soon as I thought of the question...
top 5 because we haven't thought of them. I meant to write mine out and I didn't do it. So we'll do top 5.
That's fine. Well, I'm going to do 10 because I wrote out 10. Number 10 is Gerudo Valley from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Good.
Number 9 is Terra from Final Fantasy VI.
So good.
8 is Aquatic Ambience from Donkey Kong Country. Number 7 is Soul Sanctum. Number 7 is Soul Sanctum from Hollow Knight. 6 is Chaos King from Deltarune. Number 5 is a tie. I really tried to get songs from all different games, but I failed at the top 5. 5 is a tie between La Danse Macabre and of Devious Machinations from Shovel Knight. 4 is Battle Against the True Hero from Undertale. 3 is Mining Melancholy from Donkey Kong Country 2. And number 2 and number 1 are almost tied. Number 2 is Stickerbush Symphony from Donkey Kong Country 2. And yes, it is Stickerbush, not Sticker Brush. Get it right, people. Sticker Brush is not a thing. And number 1 is Waterfall from Undertale.
Nice. Waterfall's really good.
Yes.
Okay, so I am going to make Maddie quit the podcast and say Free ZZ Peak from Banjo-Kazooie.
I'm done. I'm done.
And then
Bernard's going to join us for the next series. So, like, Bernard, you're in, I'm out. You're the new Maddie.
You're the new Maddie.
So Free ZZ Peak, the Battle Hymn for Everyone's Souls from Persona 3.
That was my number 11, honestly.
It's really good.
It's so good.
The night version of the Indolin Praetorium song from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's like my new religious song. I want people to play that at my funeral, for Christ's sake.
Is that the one you played for me when we were at work?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's real good. Then I really like Dart's theme. Like, every time I hear it, it gets me fucking pumped. It's my ringtone on my phone. And then I would have to say Chemical Plant from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Those would be my 5.
So good. Okay. This is really, 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 really hard. But I've got 3 so far.
Okay.
I have 2.
How did it go down?
One is the ending theme from not Radical Dreamers. The ending theme from Chrono Cross.
Okay.
Which is called Radical Dreamers. Although the ending from Radical Dreamers is also great. A 3-way tie, I'm sorry, I can't decide, between the battle theme from Breath of the Wild, the final dungeon from Breath of the Wild, and this is probably the actual best one, the Song of Time from Breath of the Wild.
All of those songs are fucking amazing.
Yeah. Song of Time blew my goddamn brain. And then, okay, you know what? Fine. Let's go with Behind the Mask with lyrics, but the Rain version.
The Rain version is really good from Persona 5.
Rain version with lyrics from Persona 5. Just literally anything from Phantom Dust. I don't know. If I thought about it for long enough, I would pick something from Phantom Dust. I love every one of those tracks. And then
the entirety of the Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack would be your last song.
I was thinking of saying the final. No, I wouldn't pick one of the opening tracks, the Name Your Character track from Earthbound.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
that game really blows its wad. It's got the best game soundtrack of all time, but it also puts the best song in the whole game as the second thing you hear in the game.
It's really good. Earthbound music is so fucking weird, and I love it.
Yeah.
So I did it. Look at me.
That's as good as we can get.
Good job.
All right. So, what is your for each Pokemon gen? Which did you buy? And you can include a why if it's important, but if you're just like, I was a boy and I liked red more than blue, you don't have to give all of those answers.
I feel like we answered this one as well. Because I remember talking about, like,
we may have
the different colors.
So did you pin things and then not unpin them later?
No, I only started pinning them for the first time now. And Mr. Fantastic joined, like, a month ago, and all of his were from the same thing. I don't keep track of the things that we answered before.
I'm totally fine answering it again.
I'll answer it again. It's a short answer.
Okay.
Yeah, I like cool colors. I like cold colors, and I like black, and I like gold. So I've chosen like blues and greens and golds and blacks the entire time. As far as like diamond, pearl, platinum went, I chose diamond.
Okay. What about X and Y and Sun?
Oh, I chose X.
Okay.
I chose X because I liked Xerneas, and I chose Moon because I like Lunala.
Okay. And then Sword and Shield gets updated. See, that's what we're doing. We're updating the question.
Shit.
What are you getting for Sword and Shield?
Which one is blue? I think it's Shield.
Sword, I think.
Sword is blue? Okay, well, I'm choosing the one that's blue.
Okay. What about you, Maddie? What's your updated for Sword and Shield?
Which one was I gonna get? Sword. I'm on Sword for that.
Sword.
My simple answer is that when I was a kid, I always got the ones that I thought of as being soft, such as blue, silver, white. If I had bought that one, I would have probably got white and shield. Defense, protection, soft, nice. Now I flip to the other one. Nice. I usually get the one that I consider a little harder and edgier, according to my own internal inconsistent rubric. Gold, the bolder, and more dramatic. Red, gold, black, sword,
nice,
etc.
I am probably going to get sword because I'm a boy and I like blue. But yeah, I just
way to be heteronormative.
I know. Like every time I come to something, I'm like, why do I like this? And I'm just like, well, because it's cool. Like, why do I like Digimon more than Pokemon? I'm like, well, Digimon has more swords. Well, shit.
But Pokemon has a Pokemon that is a sword, and it's one of my favorites.
There are about like 4 or 5 Digimon that are swords.
God damn it, Digimon.
Like, everyone always complains, wow, there's 900 Digimon now? How do you keep track of it? I'm like, there's 1,600 named Digimon, okay? It's been that way for about 5 years.
There's also almost 900 Pokemon, and it's gonna be over 900 once Sword and Shield come out, so...
it's nuts.
I didn't know what Necrozma was for the longest time, because I haven't been able to get Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
Quick pause. The original question regarding music was, in fact, 10 and not 5. I got 5 more. I can't believe I managed to do it.
Okay.
Hydrocity Zone from Sonic 3.
Okay.
The first level song, whatever it's called, from Sonic Adventure.
Okay.
The opening song, aka not the opening song, the first level from Panzer Dragoon. Snake Eater, the main theme of Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
It's good.
And the small fishing village, because every Dragon Quest game has like a big city theme and a small village theme. Mm-hmm. The small village theme from Dragon Quest 7. There we go. Did it.
Done. I could probably pick
done.
more things from Banjo-Kazooie and fill up my tin, but...
Banjo-Kazooie is a rare game as well, so... I appreciate your taste as a rare game fan.
Thank you.
Yes.
But so then finally to do one from Mr. Drantastic, because both of his apparently were older. But what's your favorite RPG growth system? So sphere grid, job system, materias, item creation, crafting, etc., etc.
I like the job systems in older Final Fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
I know people are like, "Oh, 5's job system," or whatever, but I thought they were cool.
Yeah,
I thought they were fun and different, and being able to change your character around was interesting.
Yeah,
I
really think that you should play through Tactics War of the Lions for. Did they come out with the Switch one, or am I stupid about that?
War of the Lions,
I don't know.
No, it's on PSP.
But yeah, I know there's a iOS version, which is really good.
Oh, okay.
Like everything you've said so far, like I love Tactics Advance and I love job systems. Like Tactics Advance, like while they expanded it, they also limited the job system a lot. And like Final Fantasy V, without any thought to have scientists gone too far, Final Fantasy V is Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, it's so good. Yeah. But
because Matsuno is a madman.
He really is. But yeah, I really like the job system. I'm like, I feel bad about Persona 5s because you like, unless you're like perfect, you can't really min-max it naturally. There's no real way to grind Persona 5s, but that then makes it where like my playthrough of Persona 5 is not going to be anything like anybody else's. So to go from 3 to 5, like you have your you have fusion and stuff like that, which is normal, but then all of your social links give you advantages like every other one as you go along, and that's really cool. And then you also have like different like you can go talk to one of your guys, Yusuke, and he can like clone moves for you. So like if you really need a Sai move or something, you can put that on something that would never possibly be egg compatible to get Sai, and you can do that with those cards and stuff. And it's really deep and really cool. And like figuring it out, I don't think is the point of the game. I think the game is to just like throw yourself at it and just end up with a hodgepodge because every person is different. And it's really cool. So I really like that one.
Hard question for me.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I love all of them. I love many of them a whole lot.
The cards for Metal Gear Acid.
I haven't played Metal Gear Acid. I have one fundamental idea, which is that I kind of intrinsically, I don't believe in min-maxing, which is to say, I think someone said this in a review of Fallout 4, which is interesting. If you can do everything, then you're not making choices. It's not actually a role-playing game. If you can do every quest in the game without getting locked out, some people call that quality of life. I call that you're not role-playing. If you can be good at everything with your character build. That's not role playing. I just think it's dumb and boring. So
maybe I want to role play a character that can do everything. You ever think about that?
But then you're not making any choices in the game's systems.
My choice is to do everything.
Okay.
My wish is for more wishes. Why don't you understand that?
That being said, I actually love Persona 5's. I don't really care for min-maxing all the social links, like trying to. I like to try and do it, but I don't like to use a guide. But no, 5 really made it a lot more accessible as far as like actually being able to get your hands around the fusion system and actually intentionally craft summons with like the defenses and immunities and stuff that you want, and you can kind of break it in a fun way. On the flip side, Dark Souls. Any of them. I'd say Dark Souls 1 the most, because Dark Souls 3 makes it all just too easy. You can just respec and it's like no big fucking deal. But they all have their own pros and cons, but I love the way that the stat loadout of Souls works. I love how it intersects with your weapon builds. I love how it intersects with crafting. It's subtle and it's weird and it's opaque, but also you can kind of figure it out and you can kind of make your dude really awesome, and it's really fun. So that's my answer, I guess.
Yeah, it'll work for me. I'm going to skip the difficulty question because I know me and Maggie are going to go at it. My basic.
It's a big discussion.
My basic answer is that these days I play on easy because I have a kid and I can't grind forever, so I want to just coast through games. But
there was a great game theory video. I don't know how you all feel about Matt Patton game theory, but there was a really great game theory about difficulty in games that was just put out.
Oh, nice.
And I strongly recommend watching it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I haven't seen it. I can answer it really quickly. I either play on normal, or if I like the game a lot and I like to murder myself, one click up from... I usually start at normal or one click up from normal unless it's the highest skill level, which is to say if there is clearly only normal and hard, then I won't go with hard. But if there's like normal, hard, really hard, extreme, and nightmare, then I'll do hard.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I usually will play on brave but not critical for Kingdom Hearts games, which is the same
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
I want to see the extra phases of the boss, but I don't want to grind for 1,000,000 hours in Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, thankfully, doesn't require grinding almost at all because it has the worst grinding experience out of any RPG I've ever played.
So bad.
But
I mostly don't play games with difficulty settings, honestly. I mean, the difficulty comes from doing achievements and extra stuff. And I mean, I 100%ed Hollow Knight, so I feel good about that.
Yeah, it is funny that we're talking RPGs, because most RPGs don't have difficulty settings. Like, what I just explained would apply to, like, Doom. Right?
Yeah. Like, Persona 5 had a difficulty setting, and I put it on one up from the easiest, because the one on the easiest sounded like, you can't lose, and I'm like, I don't want to, like, not stress out at a boss, but I don't want to lose at every boss type thing. But my answer to the Sekiro of it all that's bubbling under the surface, my one-sentence version of that is, I think every game should have difficulty settings. I don't think they should ask you on a black screen when you start the game. I think they should ask you at the end of like the first dungeon and be like, was this too hard? Then here's things where you can go and make changes in a menu somewhere. But like...
Well,
because like you don't get to know, like, okay, I'm going to start playing this game for the first time. Am I good at this game? Am I bad at this game? What do I pick? Normal, easy, or hard? I don't know. There's no way to know.
I don't know. I haven't fucking played the game yet.
That's what the game theory video talks about is dynamically adjusted difficulty.
Yeah.
Which basically means like
the
game senses how good you are at it and then changes accordingly. So if you're really good at the game, you're gonna keep getting like waves of mobs or like really hostile enemies and things like that. Whereas if you've died a lot, the game is gonna go, okay, let's make this a little bit easier for you and maybe put a checkpoint here where there was previously some like coin or something like that. I like that sort of thing.
Yeah, my two
it doesn't
favorite,
feel like the difficulty's changing.
My two favorite games that do something like that is, oddly enough, Toy Story 3 for the PS3. Like, they do stuff like, because it's a game for kids, but like it's a game in a series that dates back 25 years, so there's a chance that like not kids will play it. So there will be
the first Toy Story was on like SNES, wasn't it? Or N64.
Sucks ass, but it's got amazing graphics.
Right? But, so there's, at the beginning of the game, you're on the train in Andy's imagination, that part of the movie. So you're on the train, and there's this platforming segment with this tightrope beam that you have to walk across. And it's kind of hard. So if you fall off of it 3 times, it becomes a imperceptible amount wider. And so then it's just easier to do. And then my other favorite is actually in Trails in the Sky, and I love it because you can cheese it if you're like me and you accidentally save at the bottom of a thing, and that's your only save, and you're fucked because everybody's dead but one person. If you die and then click retry battle, it will give you a stat buff. And that there's no cap on that, so if you just die like 50 times, they can't hurt you, and you kill them in one hit, so you can save yourself from being soft-locked at the bottom of the dungeon, which is kind of
nice.
Cool. But, yeah.
Okay, we said we weren't going to get into it, but then we totally did, so I want to share a few thoughts real fast.
Okay.
First thought on what you just said, Sam, I fucking hate that, and here's why. They don't ask you. If I really like the game,
Tits
I want
asks
to do
you.
it.
Tits asks you. Trails in the Sky does ask you.
Okay, cool. That's good. I'm glad when tits ask me. It's good to have tits consent. But with the whole what's it called? Toy Story thing. Now, Toy Story is probably not an exquisitely designed video game, but I'm thinking to myself about like Mario Odyssey. The hardest challenge in Mario Odyssey is an outrageously difficult little obstacle course thingy where everything's disappearing and there's like bullet bills coming at you and stuff. It's like an optional thing in the Metro Kingdom. Yeah.
Which I'll never do.
It's easy. You can do it.
What is?
Eli said he would never do it, but I was like, you probably can't do it. It's not that hard.
Really? Oh, I thought it was outrageously hard. But at any rate, it's hard as shit, and I threw myself at it so many times. And if the game had just permanently been like, it's easier now, I would have been like, no, but I was enjoying trying to do this thing, and now you're yanking it away from me. That is actually worse, because that feels like I've lost. Like,
True.
I've lost, irrevocably lost, because now I don't even have the challenge anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, that challenge is actually gone. You failed so much, and now it's gone.
I mean, if that's what you like about games, but I play games not to get frustrated.
But I'm saying I'm just saying, like, they should ask you, do you want us to make it easier?
Oh.
If they did it without even asking me, I'd be like wow, fuck
like when
off.
they put the gold Tanuki suit in a box.
Yeah.
Right. I don't care about the gold Tanuki suit, because I can just avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Shmups do that too. Shmups will do this thing where, because Shmups are originally arcade games, right? So you have to pump in coins. Shmups on consoles, it's like every hour you play the game, you unlock another credit. And my goal is always, but after you get to 20 hours, it's like unlimited credits. For me, if I unlock unlimited credits before having beaten the game, I feel like I've lost.
Yeah.
Because I lost so much that now the game is not letting me not lose. Although, what you can do is you can just limit yourself. I can say, I'm just going to pretend like I only have 20 credits, and if I lose all 20, then I reset the game.
I don't play video games to lose, so...
Well, my other opinion is that I just think people... Frankly, this is my hot take opinion.
It's an extremely hot take. Everybody be ready for this. This is a hot take.
Be okay with not beating a game. Some of my favorite games I've never beaten, and I think that's okay. That's my relationship with the game, is that I haven't beaten it.
Yeah, and I think that's okay, but I don't think that you should lock... this is the thing I didn't want to go into, so we're not going to do it. I don't think that should be locked behind a difficulty spike. I think that it's okay to put a game down. I don't think a game should force you to put it down. That's the difference. No more talking. Let's go and talk about Dragon Quest. So we have
is that the last question?
Yeah, I'm on 20% battery, so let's.
Yeah, well, it's not the last question. We're just playing Dragon Quest next. So
Gotcha.
We will be playing Dragon Quest V: Hand of the Heavenly Bride for either the DOS or iOS version. If you want to play the SNES or the PS2 version, you can. There's a really helpful article on the wiki that will say who's who, because they changed the names completely between the two. But so you can use that to understand what we're talking about. But the DS and iOS versions are the definitive version. Like, you should be playing that version. All of the good stuff are in those. But if
you're not missing anything, they're fucking great.
if you want to play the others, you can play the others. But the DS iOS version is great. The iOS version has the phenomenal, like, I don't know why Square Enix isn't giving this touch, like the D-pad, to every other RPG company ever, because it's the most brilliant way to control a RPG on your phone. It's so good. But
Dragon Quest D-pad works so well.
It's so good. But it's awesome. The first chunk we will be playing will be it'll be half of Act 1, and we'll be ending after the castle dungeon. You'll know it. It feels like the first big thing. And we'll be saving back in town. Spoiler alert, you only can save in town. If we ever
Which is nice for us telling people where to save.
Yeah, because we'll know, go and do a thing, find a town and save. So we won't ever have to worry like where the save point is, because it's always back in town. But we'll be saving back in town. Then I wanted to give some tips. Maddie, I'm sure you will jump into these, besides the ones that I wrote down.
Away.
So Eli, I'm mostly directing this at you because I know this is your first Dragon Quest, and it might be somebody out there's first Dragon Quest as well. But you need to talk to every NPC. First off, you'll want to, because the writing is all superb, and like, Yuji Horii doesn't need to go this hard, but he does. Like, even in the first Dragon Quest, there's somebody in the first town that is like, my son ran away from home and I miss him. And then in the last town, there's a woman who's, or there's a man who's like, I wonder if my mom is doing okay. And that's a storyline between these two random NPCs that is not plot relevant, that he wasted kilobytes on the super restrictive NES to do. And he's done that constantly. Every single NPC like lives, and it's really good, even though they all look the exact same. It's kind of like such a weird thing where he thinks that all NPCs fall into archetypes and therefore they all look the same, but every single one is written like they're a real person, and it's bizarre, but you'll get used to it. And then also I know in this first chunk there's a bit where your dad is just like, okay, go and play. And then you have to find the castle dungeon and know what's going on with that. And how you figure that out is by talking to all of the NPCs and exploring and pushing your boundaries. And that's kind of the core Dragon Quest gameplay, is just talking to everybody. If you want to write down notes, would probably be really cool. On your phone, you can just take screenshots. That's what I'm doing. When like I talk to somebody and they obviously are talking about a quest or a rumor or something, I'll take a screenshot of it. But then you also can talk to your party in this game. There's a button on the screen for the phone version that's just a party chat button, and you do it and you'll turn around and you'll talk to your party. A, that's where all of the good characterization is. B, they usually also have hints on where you need to go next.
Yeah. Okay. And let me clarify here. Your party members will have a unique line of dialogue after every single line of dialogue.
Yeah.
So if you talk to an NPC, you can then immediately talk to your party and think, what do you think about that? If you talk to another NPC, you can immediately get another line of dialogue. The game's got an outrageous amount of writing. Most of it's not necessary, but just throwing that out there, that's a thing you could be doing if you want to do that. Not necessary. I don't think you're ever going to have like what you need to do next in a party chat. It's just flavor. So
okay. And because the SNES version didn't have party chat, which is the main reason why you shouldn't play it. Yeah, but you also can only save it at churches. Churches sometimes show up in the weirdest places. Like partway through the prologue, you go to spoilers, a like fairy town, and there's a human church on the bottom floor of this fairy town, and everyone talks about how like the fairies are hidden and no one's ever talked to them ever, but yet there's a church. So like, it's the churches will show up when you need them to, but it isn't save anywhere. There isn't a save spot. So like if you're making your way through a dungeon and you get to the boss and the boss kills you and you go back to your save, you go through the dungeon again. And that sounds bad, but that's actually it tricks you into constantly grinding so that you never have to grind. If you face something that's... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you keep all of your XP and all game progress, but you lose half of your gold.
Yeah. So
that's what happens.
It feels like losing in a Pokemon game and not losing in any other JRPG ever.
Okay.
So
that's helpful.
Yeah, so, like, you're going to feel crappy when you get to the end of this castle dungeon, and then the boss is hard, and then you have to walk back from the town, but you kept all of your experience getting there, and now you're gaining more experience just trying to get there again. And so when you fight it the next time, you will do better. You might not beat it the second time, but you will do better each time you're doing it, which is the entire point of JRPGs as designed by Yuji Horii, is to constantly be improving yourself.
Although, other tip though, don't throw yourself recklessly, because getting better equipment is a bigger deal than leveling up.
Yeah. So, like,
which is to say, you don't want to lose. Like, if there's a better sword that you don't currently have back in town, the key to the boss is probably more get that sword compared to gain 3 levels.
Yeah.
So, try to not lose half of your gold.
Yeah, but know that it's not the worst thing in the world. And, like, I don't min-max Dragon Quest. Like, the most important bit of player agency, to quote Maddie's old blog about it, is deciding when to turn back. And my answer to that is never. You never turn back. You always push forward. I always have half the amount of gold that I need to.
My answer is, the first time I do a dungeon, I turn back when I get to the boss and don't fight it, because I'm like, this is my first time through the dungeon. It's probably going to beat me. I'll go back and save, then go back and do the dungeon again and beat the boss on my second try. But that's just my way of playing.
Yeah. But either way, there's no wrong answer, because all you're losing is gold. And while equipment is important, everything drops gold. So you don't have to beat a story boss to get gold. You can just find some place where everybody's dropping gold like it's crazy and just fight for a bit. And it's good. Maddie has 5 minutes, so I'm going to skip a couple. Yeah, there's no...
One final thing from me, this is it for me, I think, is that the game's main gimmick when it comes to character creation and, like, more meta, like, RPG building is not going to show up for, like, 3 weeks. So don't worry about it. You don't even need to think about it. You level up and you get new abilities and you level up, and that's literally it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no sphere grid or class system or anything.
If you want to hear more cool things about Dragon Quest, you can donate on our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/RPG Book Club and see my new episode of the GRPG Canon, which I just finished, and I talk all about Dragon Quest 1 for 20 minutes, and it's beautiful. But next week, we actually won't be diving straight into Dragon Quest V. We'll instead take the time to record the 2 bonus episodes we owe you guys. We're going to be recording a new episode 0 that will replace the one in the feed, but then also show up in the feed again as itself, if you want to hear it. It'll kind of sum up, like, everything that's changed in the past year. And then we'll also record our movie night episode for Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. So get hyped for that. That's all we have to do this week is watch a movie, which is great.
Yay!
And then if you want to decide what our next game is going to be, which, because Dragon Quest isn't very long, it's probably in like 3 or 4 weeks when that next poll will go up. That'll be at our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/RPG Book Club, and supporters there will get access to the polls. It automatically does it where if you've given us a one-time donation in the last 30 days, or if you're on a monthly subscription, both of those will count, which is really cool. It does it automatic for me. But
Pokemon, go to the polls.
Yeah, Pokemon, go to the polls, and you'll get our undying love and support. I want to shout out to Essie and JRPGT and Bernard for already supporting us on our new Ko-Fi, which is dope. And then if you want to chat with us, we're on Twitter at RPG Book Club, at email at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, and on our Discord, which will have a link in the description. It's also on Twitch if you're watching live. I don't think anybody is. And then it'll be in the show notes. And then the Discord is the coolest because all 3 of us practically spend almost all of every day on it. So if you want us to respond in about 10 minutes, you'll probably get that on the Discord. Then we also accidentally reveal a lot of things we have planned for the podcast. So if you just are curious what sort of games we have coming down the pike, we'll probably talked about it already.
We'll probably just accidentally say what we're doing, even though it's supposed to be secret.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, of course, if you want to listen to our watch us record our live episodes, we are here on Twitch at twitch.tv/RPG Book Club. And thanks to everyone who showed up today. Don't have a running list, but
good news, folks.
You.
I'm not going to be late to work. I just
Yay.
checked my map app, and I've got like 20 whole minutes of buffer, so good
Nice.
job.
Awesome. Great.
So, about difficulty in video games. Just kidding.
My phone's about to die. Oh, God.
Wait, hold on. I
RPG
actually did want to say something real quick. Not about difficulty in video games, about something else. It just popped into my mind. It's like, oh, I need to say this. What? Fuck. Damn it. Oh, right. We should just re-shout out real fast. Eli does streams, and I'm also going to do streams soon.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah, I do YouTube videos.
Oh, yeah, you do YouTubes.
Although I mentioned this in a video I recorded today. I am planning to do Extra Life 2019.
Nice.
If you don't know what that is, Extra Life is it's charity basically. It's a donation fundraiser for children's hospitals in which you do 24 hours of video gaming. I'm going to, at some point, probably later in the year, because I'm getting married in August and I need my vacation time for that, I'm going to be doing a 24 hours of Hollow Knight stream.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And my goal is to beat the true final boss in 24 hours of straight play.
That sounds
Nice.
hard.
It's going to be hard as fuck.
I'll
gonna
definitely
be,
show up
like,
for that.
Yeah,
We
good
did
the fuck luck.
Ken and I did 2016 Extra Life, and I ended up napping partway through it because I just couldn't handle it anymore. I got to... God damn it.
Oh, low
Sorry,
power
I'm getting
mode.
low power. Yeah. I got through Undertale and then Portal, and then we got to Portal 2, and I was like, I can't handle it. I can't make this work because I'm so tired. So my goal this year is to not do that and just to fucking power my way through Hollow Knight.
Nice.
But it'll probably be around October, November, something like that.
I should do that working through the steps to speedrun Legend of Dragoon, because world record is like 15 hours, and so that gives me like 7 hours to be bad at the game. So
There you go. Yeah.
so I could just
Do a-
have
do a
a
24-hour
really shitty
stream
24-hour
of-
stream of me
Yeah.
beating Legend of Dragoon. But
Eli, that is exciting. Please do not forget to continue shilling that as it gets closer.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's exciting. And also, yeah, I'm probably going to start not doing YouTube videos because I'm not cool or smart. I don't want to put in that much effort. But I'm going to be live streaming probably Final Fantasy X too. Probably pretty soon.
Nice.
But
There you go.
yeah, for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddie Webbin. I'm taking out the middle name. I'm not sure about that yet.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Love you. Matt, don't leave us just because it's not Legend of Dragoon.
We can change. We can talk about Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down.
Let's do it.
Literally always. I'll try and reference
Final
it
Fantasy
once
X
or
is
twice.
basically
today.
Legend of Dragoon. Let's be serious for 2 seconds. Here we go.